All right, good evening. I'll call the meeting to order at 7 p.m. Inform the public that this is a telemeeting with remote participation and that the meeting is not being held at Town Hall. Ms. Riley, I see you're with us. Ms. Smith, are you with us? Okay, I don't think she's with us yet. Approval of the minutes from May 19th. What's the board's pleasure?
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes of the Board of Selectmen's meeting on May 19th as printed.
Okay, I will second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that's approved. Thank you. The next up is department heads. Our health agent, Matt Tanis. Matt, any relevant updates for us?
Yeah, just a couple real quick. So we actually had no new cases today, which is a good thing. We're currently at 222 overall cases for the town of Raynham. We had one new death since last week, so it'd be 41 deaths now, 37 of which are from long-term care facilities. And as of right now, we have 90 that have recovered, with quite a few more that will probably be recovered within the next week. Just real quick, Life Care did test all the employees again last week, and all of the results have come back. Of the 96 employees that they tested, only 4 were positive. So that's a good trend. I think that the state helping them out over the last 6 weeks or so has really made a difference overall. So that's positive news. And just overall in Massachusetts, again, second day in a row, had a much lower positive case. So I think that, you know, as long as we keep heading in this positive direction, we're doing good as a state. Also, just as we've reopened under phase 1, I've had to issue 2 citations, one to Lowe's and one to one of the Dunkin' Donuts locations. This was after a couple warnings regarding the face mask violations, and some other warnings were issued to other businesses in town regarding violations. And other than that, just working through the reopening of Massachusetts. We still don't have a date for phase 2, but under phase 2, a lot more businesses will be able to reopen. Again, we don't have a date yet, and those that are able to reopen under phase 2, there will be definitely some heavy restrictions, but just kind of working through that now and trying to work with the state as far as what will be able to open, and if so, with what restrictions. So that's all I have. If you have any questions.
Great. Thank you, Matt. Any questions for Matt? I see Mrs. Smith has joined us. Mrs. Smith, any questions? None. Miss Riley, any questions?
I'd just like to share, Mr. Chairman, that I had gotten a call from Kevin Ellis about what the outlook would be for the Raynham Community Day in September. And I asked our health agent, Matt, about that. And Matt, if you could just share with us what the guidelines are for outdoor events on public property.
Sure, of course. So public property, as long as there's no enclosure, that even includes an open air tent. So no enclosures at all, completely open and on public property. There's currently no limitation as to the size gathering. However, everybody within that gathering must be wearing face masks, and social distancing must be able to be maintained. And any activities, whether it be sports or any other type of activity, they cannot be contact activities or sports. So that's currently where we stand. Of course, that's all subject to change.
Thank you, Matt. And I did share that with Kevin, and he's going to see if he can make those accommodations and go forward in September with our Raynham Community Day.
Excellent.
Great. Thank you. Anything else, Ms. Riley?
No, thank you.
Okay. I don't think our highway superintendent is on. He and I spoke earlier. Ed, are you with us? No. Okay. So when Ed and I spoke, he had some communication with our paving company, and the consensus is now that they're not going to move forward with the night paving due to the potential for concerns. And so the construction will happen at some point in early to mid-June. The dates will be posted on the website along the North Main Street corridor. So there will be some detours and obviously impact as a result of those detours, but at this point, they'll be moving forward with normal daytime construction.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
No problem. Our town administrator is not with us this evening. Deb, are you with us? No? Okay. So we will not have an administrator's report this evening. Selectmen's report, Mrs. Smith, anything?
No, I don't think so. The only thing I don't really have anything. All I wanted to do was congratulate all of our graduates. You know, I don't think we did that last week. We've had our 8th grade and high school and college graduates, and they're all obviously not graduating like they usually do. So I just want to send out our congratulations to them and know that even though it is very different, it's still very important and it's a wonderful day in their lives. And I wish them all a very good luck.
Great. Thank you, Mrs. Smith. Miss Riley, anything?
I just want to echo those thoughts with congratulations to all of those. Also, thank everybody for their efforts with the Memorial Day program that Miss Brito and Raynham Channel Director Michael Halen put together. And also the flags look awesome. So thank you for everybody. I got some questions about that, and just so people know, our highway department puts those flags up. Fire department watches over them and packs them away for us. And all of the flags, both the little flags and the tall flags, were all purchased with through fundraising and private donations, no town funds whatsoever. It's a complete community effort, and just goes to prove, I think in Raynham we have probably the most patriotic town in America, and really proud about that. So one other thing though, Mr. Chairman, I don't know if you're going to bring this up later, but we got an email with concern from our town moderator, Mr. Donahue. Are you going to bring that up later in the meeting, or should we address it now?
I was going to do it on the COVID items, but if you want to take it out of order, I don't have an objection to that.
Well, Justin, I think Mr. Donahue might be out in the audience out there, but a concern about pre-town meeting, and I also have a concern that we try in some way, shape, or form to do something to make sure the public is informed about the town meeting coming up and what's going to be on the agenda. I did get a couple of calls, people saying, why are we doing this? People aren't going to be able to come. Are we trying to sneak something through? So I think most important is we want to get the word out so people know about that. How we can have that forum, I'm not sure. I mean, if nothing else, if we have it as part of this meeting with our town moderator and people just listening in through the gotomeeting.com. We only have 2 weeks left, actually, 2 more meeting weeks before the annual town meeting. So if we're going to do something, I would suggest maybe even next week. So if there are questions that we can't answer, we could come back the following week with those answers. Just my thoughts, Mr. Chairman.
I had given this some thought as well, and I mean, generally speaking, I don't know how many people watch us in replay, but any given week we have about 12 to 15, and what I was thinking as a compromise to accomplish the informational piece, but also recognizing that probably not as many people are going to tune into it, is if we did a Q&A on the articles and provided some background information as to where they originated from. On the article, on the warrant, as you know, it says who it was submitted by, but a vast majority, as the moderator alluded to in the communication with us, are customary, traditional, annual articles that are part of housekeeping. And I think maybe breaking it down in layman's terms might be a compromise. Again, recognizing the unique dynamic we're in right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think I kind of said about the same thing, Joe. I emailed John today and said about the same thing. Also, too, we might be able to squeeze in, if we want, a segment with just John going through the articles, and any questions that anybody may have, they may call in. If you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think, not to put it on John's lap, but I think, you know.
No, I know, but he's as concerned with as we are, and the easiest way we can get it is if one person does the talking instead of everybody trying to, you know.
Correct. Yeah, I think we have till Friday to set the agenda, and so I'll reach out to the moderator if the two of you want to as well, and we can see what we come up with, and if it's appropriate to put it on for next week, and if we think it will be worthwhile, we can put it on as an agenda item.
I think that's the easiest way to do it. I really do, because otherwise, how are you going to get to anybody? You're not going to get to anybody. And as I said to John in my email, very few people come to the actual pre-town meeting. it's mostly like Dwayne Wheeler, I know is one person that always comes, but most people just want to know about the offbeat articles. The others are all standard and they understand them.
Correct.
But I think if either John or, even yourself, whatever, just goes through them very quickly and explains them, or
Sure.
if they have a number of which this is the number to call if you have any questions.
Absolutely.
I would support that being on the agenda for next week's meeting if possible, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, very good. I'll try to liaise with the moderator this week and see if we can try to work out a plan.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. All right. I have two things under Selectmen's report and then a couple under COVID-19. Just to update the board and the community, April's unemployment numbers rose to 15.1%. That is actually the highest dating back to 1976. Again, people continue to apply for benefits, and the Division of Unemployment Assistance continues to accept those. So anybody who has lost a job, I would encourage them to apply and get in the most accurate information that they have available so that they can be screened for eligibility. Speaking of high school graduations, I had the opportunity, the privilege to participate in the virtual senior awards night for Bristol Plymouth and virtually present a scholarship to a lucky recipient. And I was really excited to do that. A little disappointed, whereas the first year doing this scholarship, I didn't get to meet the student who was receiving it, but it was a nice event nonetheless. And to echo the sentiments of the two of you, congratulations to all of our graduates throughout the community for their accomplishments. And despite the fact that we can't celebrate with them in a traditional sense, hopefully they know that we support them and wish them much success.
Absolutely.
Under emergency business COVID-19 related items, I have two things. In our packets tonight, Mr. Iafredi submitted communication to us. He is looking to allow outdoor seating with us waiving the hearings. In speaking with Mr. Iafredi, I expressed my concern about this for a few reasons. A, it's liquor related and we've always had those hearings. And I think the benefit to continuing to have those hearings is it allows neighborhoods that might be impacted to address the board with the concerns. Previous boards have denied requests based in part on neighborhood concerns. And I think the process is in place to ensure open and transparent communication. I think a compromise would be if they were asking for outdoor seating without alcohol being served. But my personal opinion would be if alcohol is going to be served outside, that all establishments should continue to go through the process that we followed for decades. But I'll open it up to the board for comments and feedback.
Well, I think as I read it, it was only for a short period of time. It wasn't anything that was permanent.
Correct.
And the businesses have been really hurting with having no, participation. So I don't know. I didn't feel as though it would be so terrible.
Well, my concern with it is that it's the summer months, and again, when we talk about noise and windows, people's windows are open more, and so if you have, any size groups, and then you factor in alcohol, there's the potential for excessive noise.
Yeah, no, I understand that, but it would be in conjunction with obviously all of our major boards agreeing to it, and also the place. And maybe they could stipulate something, they could come up with some sort of regulation or whatever.
Well, the proposal before us doesn't have anything like that, so we have a couple options. We can accept it as it's requested by the building commissioner, we can table it and take it under advisement, or we can deny it.
I'll make a motion to table and maybe we can think a little bit about if there's some compromise we could come up with.
Okay.
I'll agree with that, Pat.
All right. All in favor to table it?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. That will be tabled for next week. The other piece of COVID-related business that I have is I've received a few more complaints from not just residents but business owners about not being able to get timely responses from some departments. And I'm looking to the board for some guidance as to the fact that right now we're just starting to get some set hours and continuity. What is the expectation of the board for residents and business owners to hear back from town departments relative to inquiries, because in some instances it's been multiple days. I tried hashing this out with the administrator and we weren't able to reach a consensus, so I'm looking to the board for some guidance.
Well, first off, I don't understand what you're talking about. You mean somebody is calling into a particular department and they're not getting feedback?
Calling and emailing and getting no response. I've had 3 complaints last week alone.
Well, that's very strange because there's always supposed to be somebody in the office.
Well,
And they're receiving everything, their emails and all, so there should be no reason that they're not getting responses.
the town administrator had previously told us everybody was checking email. Last week, he told me that's not the case. And the only people who are checking email and voicemail are people who were issued town equipment. And so I don't know where the breakdown was, but what's been happening and what we were told is happening is 2 different things.
Mr. Chairman, maybe we can just send a memo out to the department heads to tighten that up a bit.
Well, I think we could, but that's what I'm asking for is what's going to be in the memo, because quite frankly, the ambiguity that we've allowed to have happen, absent a solid plan, has resulted in this. And I forwarded the correspondence on to the administrator to substantiate these complaints. But to me, our taxpayers deserve to be responded to in an appropriate time frame.
Is it one particular office, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
May I ask which one?
I would say you can check with the town administrator. I'm not going to say it in open meeting because
Administrator.
Yep.
I don't understand that though, like I said, because it was supposed to be that everything was settled. The phone system got so that the phones were being transferred to their homes. They have computers, their emails, they were getting emails. So I don't understand why they're not responding, but I'll find out.
Yeah, I have. Well, that's great that you'll find out, but it does nothing for me in the complaints that I'm getting. I have an email from the town administrator saying that people who were not issued town equipment are not checking.
Well, I don't know what you want us to say, Joe. I mean, what do you want?
I'll make a motion that we ask, we refer this to the town administrator and ask him to give us a report next week.
And no setting of guidelines.
I don't know what guidelines you want us to try to set, Joe. There's already somebody in every department.
That's not accurate, Mrs. Smith.
Well, that's not the way it was supposed to be. Somebody was supposed to be in from the last time, remember? The last directive.
Yeah. And this was why I had requested set hours and not letting every department do something different, because this is exactly what I hoped would not happen, but is happening.
Well, I think we should just turn this right back over to the town administrator and have him find out who's on first and why.
I made that motion to refer it to the town administrator and ask her to report at next week's meeting.
Do I have a second?
Second.
And for discussion, I would just say I want my concerns to be reflected in the meeting minutes. All in favor?
Aye.
And as you know, Mr. Chairman, our recording secretary transcribes them word for word.
Yep. No, I just want to make sure that that is in it.
Sure.
Any other COVID-related items?
Not for me.
I have none.
All right. Citizen and community input, any? And Mike, if you have any, please let me know.
Nothing on my end, Joe.
Great. Thank you. Next up, new business, Raynham Riverwalk. We've received correspondence and I'm just pulling it up now, that Raynham Riverwalk is moving forward with a proposal for, I believe it was either a 40B or a 40R, 138 home ownership units relative to comprehensive permit project in the town of Raynham at the above referenced address. The project will provide 35 low and moderate income units for households earning up to 80% AMI on a 33.5 acre site. All we really have to do is forward this on to the planning board. What's the board's pleasure?
I'll make that motion, but under discussion, Mr. Chairman, is this in addition to the plan that's been proposed or in place of?
This would, as I interpret it, in place of, because I don't think you could do both on 33.5 acres.
Does that mean the petitioner is withdrawing the other plan?
I can't speak for the petitioner, so I don't know. All I have is a correspondence that I believe the two of you also got.
Yes. Then
Yes,
I'll keep my motion to refer it to the planning board as you requested.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Is approved. Next, we have a request from GameStop. They're requesting an updated secondhand dealer's license for GameStop at 300 Route 44. It looks like the check and application is attached. What is the board's pleasure?
That's for all of their games that they have there. Yeah,
Correct.
I would move that.
It is a renewal, so I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That is approved. Any old business, Mrs. Smith?
No.
Okay, Miss Riley?
Thank you.
Okay. Performance of administrative duties, approval of the town of Raynham invoice and payroll warrants for May 26. What's the board's pleasure?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That's approved. And then approval of the Raynham Police invoice and payroll warrants dated May 26. What's the board's pleasure?
Motion to approve.
Second.
I'll abstain. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. If there's nothing else, I'll entertain a motion for us to go into an executive session with no business thereafter.
I'll make that motion, and for the minutes, it's to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigating position of the public body, and the chair so declares.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are
Aye.
adjourned.